Welcome to the Giants Nation show, brought to you by the people. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with the Football Grump, and we're finishing off our official 2025 draft coverage. And we're looking at the Giants 2025 UDFA class on the defensive side. We did the offensive side on Friday's episode. 5 guys. We got O'Donnell Fortune out of South Carolina, Trace Ford out of Oklahoma, Tommy McCormick, Idaho, Makari, Paige, Michigan, and RJ Delancy, Wisconsin. Grump, we're finishing off this draft coverage, and it always makes me a little bit emotional. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're wrapping up several months worth of work and one very, very compact and tough month of work. So as much as it's pretty sad, I feel like everything went really well and that we had a really good draft season. I think the Giants had a pretty damn good draft too. So I'm feeling pretty good despite all that.
Yeah, and I'm actually excited to for me, it doesn't. Well, I guess I'm doing Jackson Dart individual game breakdown, so I'm really excited to start getting those out. And I've never been more like, hey, I'm tired of RJ Delancy film. Let me talk about the quarterback. I also decided, Grump, that I'm gonna do 6 mock drafts this year instead of the 4 I do. I'm gonna do a preseason one. Just because I've learned draft stuff is never ending, and the best way to get draft work done is to give yourself content that you have to do based around the draft, right? Like the Senior Bowl, any mock draft video. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do a preseason mock draft, just to kind of get some eyes on guys and just keep myself busy in the summer, especially now that I'm not doing the full NFL coverage. I don't have to worry about the Vikings second string linebacker and their depth at that. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for this summer of content, and we're going to Charlotte, which on May 24th for a live show at the Motor Speedway. So make sure to come out. We'll advertise that a little more as we go. All right, Grub, let's get into this defensive UDFAs. First, this episode is brought to you by some special people. We got Spencer Grossinger. He's not gross. He's actually really, clean and well put together, even though his name suggests otherwise. William Nugent, this is actually Ted Nugent's father. You'd be surprised. Andrew Greenblatt, who is the long lost brother of my elementary school friend Miranda Greenblatt. Mikey Staz, and then Tim Tabon or Taven or Tebow. Grump, who are these special? You know what? These special people, they went to patreon.com/Giants Nation. They get stickers. Please, it's what's supporting this show now. It's brought to you by the people, and that's what makes it work. You get stickers, t-shirt contests, and some exclusive content. In season, the film review will be exclusive to Patreon for a couple of reasons, but I'm going to do the all 22 breakdowns of the 24 Jackson Dart film. Then I'm going to go into 23, 22, and then maybe even a little 21. And I'm only putting that on Patreon because those videos, they get demonetized on YouTube. And it's like, who else is going to do that? So I'm actually going to put those on Patreon. So you'll get some bonus content in a few weeks too. So let's get into these UDFAs on the defensive side. Thank you, Patreon.
You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. All right. Cornerback out of South Carolina, Shrine Bowl MVP, O'Donnell Fortune at 6'1", 185 pounds, 31.5-inch arms. He had bad testing he only did a couple things at the combine. But he did have bad testing at his pro day, like a 4.57 40, a 33-inch vertical, and then the agility drills were pretty bad. We'll talk about that. But I think this guy's played some pretty damn good ball at South Carolina, and there's a reason why we're talking about him first. He had 3 interceptions and 2 pass breakups last year, and he had an interception that was called back against Garrett Nussmeier that was a pick 6. The year before, 2 interceptions and 5 pass breakups. He is a smart, aggressive, instinctive cornerback who lacks some athleticism. But I think he makes up for it and being a better athlete than what testing shows. Like, again, his speed is below average, so when he's behind, he's behind. And he's got skinny legs, doesn't have like the biggest strength in the world, but I think he's got good bursts and change of direction. I think his hips are loose to get out of his back pedal, and he is just someone who understands the cornerback position. At the release, he's very patient, right? He doesn't bite at any of these these releases that these receivers are throwing at him. That pace just can put him behind on some end breakers. And then you put him in zone coverage, Grump, which I think you'd put him more in zone with his athleticism if he was ever to go out there and play a full game. he is instinctive and he's aggressive and he reads quarterbacks' eyes and what they're doing and he sees what concepts are playing out and baits quarterbacks into throws, and that's how he gets the ball production that he got. When a quarterback overthrows or underthrows the ball, he's got his eyes on that QB, so he's able to make that play. Um, and I think once he's in phase, he does well. There's flaws to him, but to me, he is by far the highest graded UDFA on defense for me.
Yeah, it seems like the only reason he dropped is because he had some bad testing. And it's pretty clear when you watch his film that he plays at a faster speed than he probably tested at. It's pretty unclear. You know what I mean? Maybe there was like some poor interviews in there as well that also dropped his draft stock. I'm not sure. But on film, he understands route concepts. He understands the offense in front of him, and he understands what's going on and what is needed from him. So with his good instincts and his good understanding of the game, the average athleticism, which I think is the reality instead of below average, the average athleticism doesn't really come to bite him all that often. I wouldn't put him up against a speedster wide receiver and ask him to cover. He'll lose on a go route just about every time. But he's not. He doesn't make a lot of mental mistakes. I think he plays with some good positioning. I think that he closes well. I think he plays the ball very well at the catch point. He was productive for his time at South Carolina. In 2024, 47 total tackles, 41 of which were solo, 2 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, and 3 picks. I think that in terms of physicality, he is intense and physical when he needs to be, but he plays with some pretty average strength and he plays with some pretty bad pad level when it comes to hitting somebody. But in general, in terms of running in phase with receivers and stuff like that, like he's pretty lockstep with them, and he has a very good understanding of zone, and he knows when to bail off of stuff and read quarterbacks and make a play on the ball, which he's done several. The play in which you're even talking about, the pick 6 against Garrett Nussmeier, he's supposed to be covering a whip route that's going to the outside, but he reads the quarterback's eyes and peels off of that and is able to catch an overthrow, because what he's watching is the pressure on Nussmeier as he's being yanked from behind. So he just peels off of the coverage and closes in on where he sees Nussmeier bailing out to be, and he catches the overthrow and takes it to the house. I don't remember what the penalty was.
It was like a horse collar on the quarterback, so it had nothing to do with the actual play. But like all of his interceptions, sometimes interceptions are the biggest liar of a stat ever, because you go put the film on, it's like, oh, I want to watch the game with the interception. It's like, a lot of bad film and then a really lucky play because, the offense had a terrible play. And now all interceptions are bad plays by the offense, obviously. But like you mentioned the LSU one against Texas A&M, he's carrying vertically. But again, he keeps his eyes on the quarterback. So the quarterback is pressured. He knows the ball's coming out. The quarterback, like, I don't know if he's expecting the receiver to stop and turn it into a curl or whatever, but he underthrows it. He has his eyes on it, catches it, and then returns it to the house. I think he got called back for stepping out of bounds. Against, I forget what school it was, but they're running a high-low in the end zone, and he shows the quarterback, like, I'm playing the low, and then the quarterback goes to throw. He gets out of it, has an interception that way. So, like, again, the interceptions are smart plays, and again, he's aggressive. Again, he keeps his eyes on the QB in the zone while keeping his responsibility. Now, again, there is some aggression that can get him in trouble. Jackson Dart, our good old friend, beat him on a double move, right, against him. And then the patience at the release, which I like, and it's something that I think, like, one of my worries with Travis Hunter as a corner. Obviously different level of player, but like, it's beautiful. Like, he just doesn't bite on all the bullcrap that receivers are throwing at him. But at the same time, when you can get too patient to where you're getting beat on slants and crossers, and that's where you did see him get beat. I thought most of the time was on slants and crossers, right? Like Juice Wells, Giants wide receiver, had 2 catches on him. One was the slant, and he ended up stumbling out of the break, but he's being patient. The other one's on a crosser where it'd be one thing if he had this great athleticism to make up for it, but he doesn't. So again, he cheats his leverage. He's physical on those in man coverage when he can. And then if you do get him in phase vertically, like you said, he doesn't have the best speed, but he does a good job to stay with guys. So now the testing is terrible, right? And this is pro day, and this is compared to the other, corners at the combine. So not everyone else's pro day. But like, yeah, the second slowest 40 or would be 40. The fourth worst vertical jump, which he did do the vertical at the combine. Um, now the 3-cone drill and the shuttle, only 4 guys did that at the combine, which is kind of crazy. It was none of people did the 40 and stuff. So he was the worst in both those categories, but it's only four guys did it. But he was like far off. Like the 3-cone drill, he was off by 0.4 seconds. The shuttle by 0.2. So he, even if he wasn't the worst, if everyone participated, he would have been close to the bottom. So that's some legitimately terrible agility testing. And obviously agility is really important for the cornerback position. But it's not his agility is not great, but I think, again, like you said, I think the film is much better than test. Like Makari Paige, his agility testing is bad, but like I think his agility is terrible, and I think that's the thing that's going to hold him back. When you're watching O'Donnell's Fortune's film, you don't look at a guy like, oh man, he just can't move the way you need to play at the corner position. I think you look at a guy when he loses, like, oh yeah, he doesn't have the athleticism to make up for the mistakes that he makes.
Yeah, he looks like he belongs. You know what I mean? There are some guys that we're going to talk about where you can see it on film where it's like, I don't know about this. With O'Donnell Fortune, I actually see a pathway to this roster, right? Like we look at the Giants defensive back room, and it's pretty thin in terms of depth. So I mean, you've got your starters penciled in there with Deontay Banks and Paulson Adebo, but everything behind that is just a giant question mark. And maybe they dumped some assets into guys like Cordell Flott and Trey Hawkins, but at this point, I don't think that those assets really mean anything. At this point, it's probably a meritocracy going forward. I think that there is a pathway for someone like O'Donnell Fortune to make this roster.
I think O'Donnell Fortune, regardless, will be around, even if it's not all on the initial 53.
Right.
Because like you have 4 guys who are essentially locks, and Adebo Banks and Drew Phillips. And I think Flott is a lock. The only way I can see Flott not being a lock is if he refused the pay cut that Joe Shane's probably going to try and get him to take for the PPP, the paid performance escalator for guys who in their 4th year who reach a certain amount of playing time. But Flott's a lock, and then you kind of you'll have a handful of guys battling for that 5th and 6th corner spot, because I think they'll keep 6, because I think Kobe Black will make it for specials, and then you have Trey Hawkins, O'Donnell Fortune, and then whoever else they have on the roster battling for those spots, and we'll see. But again, if they keep it again, he's probably not a special teams performer. I don't know, but like him versus Trey Hawkins, it should be a clean battle. And if Fortune understands how to play corner better, even though Hawkins has like the better athleticism and stuff, maybe he makes it. Now, I think at the end of the day, Hawkins does make the roster unless he's really, really injured still off that back and he doesn't have the camp that you're looking for. So I don't think Fortune's going to make the initial 53, but I think he's definitely around and is on the practice squad all year and is in training camp next year to have, that battle to make whatever roster spot when Flott goes and signs somewhere else. So he also, Grump, do you have anything else like fully on him?
No, we pretty much covered him.
Well, I'm really excited to talk about him for this. He won the Shrine Bowl MVP. And you went to the Senior Bowl with us every year. I'm assuming you're going to do it again next year. What do you think about going and together? Because now I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to pitch a trip to anybody. I can just do it. I kind of want to do the Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl double dip, which would mean Saturday, Sunday, Monday at the Shrine Bowl. And then we leave Monday to go to the Senior Bowl, and then we're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the Senior Bowl. And then we watch the Shrine Bowl game as we record the Senior Bowl recap podcast, as is tradition.
So I was looking at the possibility of that actually yesterday. I was looking through the whole off season and what things will look like in the future. And it is possible. It kind of stinks, but it would be possible because it would be tight, right? Like if it's Saturday, we're probably bailing out there Friday, getting to wherever the Shrine Bowl is. We're seeing most of the practices, but we won't see all of them if we got to bail out by Monday. At least by this year's standards, we'd miss one practice Tuesday. I think Wednesday they're off. and then Thursday is the game, right?
So this is the schedule. So, um, we would get there Friday, right? And maybe we'd do some like media stuff. Um, and then so we'd have Saturday, Sunday, Monday practice. We would miss a Tuesday practice, but again, I think 3 days. I mean, that's all we get for the Senior Bowl. So I don't.
True.
So we're missing that. But again, we could just.
And then, well, the other thing too is that we watched the Shrine Bowl when we came back to our Airbnb. So
Yeah, we always watch it as we're recording the recap.
so we
games
could
usually.
we could just like live stream that even.
Well, I'm not even, again, the game's not the important part. What we
Doesn't
would,
matter. No, but I'm saying in terms of all coverage, right? Like, so you figure when you mix the two together, like Tuesday, this is getting to be like a longer conversation. I didn't mean it to be, but like,
I'll do. This needs to be a long call. I've been waiting
Okay.
for this all weekend since
right.
ever since they signed O'Donnell Fortune. I've been waiting to have this conversation with you.
So the only thing that stinks is Tuesday. Well, I mean, we wouldn't do the player interviews, right? So we could get up early that one day, Tuesday, get our credentials, get over to the stadium. And if we're not dealing with all the other extra bullshit, then we could do pretty much like one live episode that we edit down to an episode, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Thursday, we could live stream just watching the Shrine game as an extra thing, as like a conclusion to the Shrine coverage.
Maybe that's a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, or that, you know
like
what
a
I mean?
Shrine Bowl watch. I don't know. But
I mean, like, really, it would just be like a nightcap to the notes we already have from practice. Just like, oh, look, this was a guy who stood out in practice, and look at him in the game doing the thing that we said.
So,
whatever that.
like Senior Bowl, we do prep for, and we still need to do. But Shrine Bowl, I wouldn't need to. Shrine Bowl would simply be like go and watch, and talk about what you saw. And we could, like, again, do the live streams after each day of practice. And then, we do our Senior Bowl preview, which maybe do like a Shrine Bowl recap plus Senior Bowl preview episode, which would be kind of fun. And then we do our normal Senior Bowl stuff. So I don't know. I just think it'd be. We should at least try it. I think as we should at least try it with the first year of Jonas Nation show.
Yeah, I think there's a way we can make it work, and if we can make it work, we should give it a shot. The other thing, we could also live stream the Senior Bowl as like an exclusive thing.
The game?
Why not? Yeah, why not? Because it's like Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're usually long home by Friday, and what is it, like a 2.5 hour game? It's not that much extra.
No, it's not. Yeah, we could do something like that. One year I do want to stay for the game. I don't think it'd be the year that we also went to the Shrine Bowl.
That's a long week.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna look into getting us the worst Airbnb you can find.
I already have the address for that one, bud.
In Frisco. No, I'm talking about in Frisco, Texas.
Oh.
Just don't use Patriot Homes for Mobile, Alabama. If you ever go to stay in Mobile, Alabama, Patriot Homes is a scam.
You should, by the way, when you complete your backdrop, you should have the picture behind you.
Danny has it.
I know, you should get it back.
And it still hasn't gotten to New Jersey, so I think Danny needs to get that to you somehow eventually.
I have to. All right.
And you're going to be in North Carolina, so it needs to be in North Carolina as well. So maybe we get Danny to ship. Oh, you know what? I think it would be nice to have her for the Charlotte show on May 24th. Maybe I can get
it to Rick.
I'm going to text Danny if he can ship me the picture.
Do you want me to start on Trace Ford?
No, let me just fire off this text.
All right.
Can you ship me the family photo? All right, let's talk about Trace Ford. But I think we just decided that we're doing the Shrine Bowl next year, which I'm really excited for. All right, let's talk about Trace Ford, the edge out of Oklahoma, 6'2", 249 pounds, 30-inch arms. Good testing, ran a 4.64 40, 36-inch vertical, 21 bench press reps. Never really produced much at Oklahoma after transferring from Oklahoma State. You only had 22 tackles, a sack and a half, and 4 tackles for a loss last year. They use him more as a run defender, even though he does have like some pass rush chops, and you'd think, 6'2", 250, 30-inch arms, he'd be more of a pass rush specialist. But just off of his snaps and what they were, it was like 47% run, 38% pass rush, and 15% coverage. the lack of length and size at that position, I think, will move him to stack linebacker if he's ever going to make it, or maybe he's just, a third, fourth string edge who, never does much in the NFL. But if he's going to make it, I think there's an actual move to stack linebacker that can work for Trace Ford because he's a good athlete and overall he's just a smooth mover. And he plays with good strength. He has good dip. Like he has traits that transfer to the linebacker position. With good dip, good lateral movement, plays with strong hands. When he's, you think a 6'2", 249 guy playing the edge is like he's just trying to win with speed or work outside in, or he's got. But no, he stays square the way you're looking for. He'll use hands to shock and dump a tight end when he has the opportunity. When he takes on a puller, right? He doesn't just go for the cheat code of like he plays it strong the way that he's supposed to. And then again, like they did give him some coverage responsibility, not very much, but he had like fairly good, hip flip and eyes and coverage. And he closes in on ball carriers well. Now he has some missed tackles. There is definitely pass rush plays that make you happy, right? I posted one of him dipping versus the Tennessee right tackle for a nice sack. Caden Proctor, this guy who's projected top 10 pick out of Alabama, is like 6'8", 350. In fact, he was mocked to the Giants in some way too early mocks. You look at the end of that game when they're in pass rush mode, he had some nice speed to power. In that game, like getting Caden Proctor, this big old dude on his heels a bit. So he's got some strength in there. At edge, I don't think that size is there. Like it's not the same conversation of like Colin Oliver at Oklahoma State that we previewed Grump and the Giants had a 30 visit on, where it's like, yeah, he doesn't have the size, but man, the pass rush is beautiful and the production is great. Like the size probably will hold him back, but you'll see. With Ford, I can actually see him projecting the stack linebacker better.
Yeah, I'm gonna completely agree. So like this is 6'2", 250. The 6'2" and the length really stands out, and it's not the same as like Josiah Stewart, where he's incredibly physical, and is gonna battle up. You know what I mean? So he plays bigger than 6'2". I don't think Trace Ford plays bigger than 6'2", but the thing that screams off the tape is the traits, right? Like the athleticism, the speed. Whatever he ran at the combine, I think he ran 4.55 at his pro day, which again, take that with a grain of salt, but on film, he's very fast. He closes really, really well, and he takes nice tight angles to the quarterback when he's coming in off the edge, which he did a lot of. He was very situational in his time at Oklahoma. Now, I think I agree with you. Like for starters, he's not refined enough as a pass rusher. Like there needs to be more moves there. Like there's traits, you know what I mean? He's got active hands. He kind of understands how to shuck guys off of him. He knows when to shoulder dip and combine his stuff with his speed, but there's a lot more that needs to happen there as a pass rusher. And if he's going to transition to off-ball linebacker, which I think is the pathway for him, there is a lot that I think needs to happen with him in coverage in terms of learning. Because right now it looks like it's just traits. Like it's just his athleticism having him hang around there.
Yeah. It was kind of like whenever he was in coverage, it was basically like flat to vertical, vertical, which is very simple. There's no like actual middle field linebacker coverage snaps in there.
But I do think that he's a strong hitter with good form. I wouldn't call him like a dominant tackler, but he clearly he's in this weird tweener stage, right? Like he's not an edge rusher. He's too short to be an edge rusher. He's not long enough. He's too big to really be like a safety, and he doesn't cover well enough to be a safety. He really is kind of more like an off-ball linebacker, but he doesn't really play off-ball linebacker. He doesn't really have experience there at all.
No, so I think he had right like 25. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just saying, like right now, his fastest pathway to the team in any regard, he's going to have to transition to that role. It's not going to happen fast enough right away. But his pathway, I think, is going to be special teams, which is usually what you see when guys are really fast. They understand the game. They hit well. They do technique things well, but they lack experience or whatever. Like special teams is usually where they'll thrive, and you can just see it. Like he's just an animal in the field. He just runs really fast, closes, hits people well. That's special teams to me.
Carter Coughlin, right? Like it was kind of the comparison for Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State. Like it's the Carter Coughlin. And it's like all the same exact limitations. Now, Ford has not put together the resume that Carter Coughlin and Colin Oliver put together in college. And not even close, to be honest. But like I wanted to see if he had some stack linebacker experience, and the only game he really played it was Tennessee. But that wasn't even real stack line. That was like they would line these guys up in that overhang linebacker spot, and they would just rush them in at the snap to try and mess with that Tennessee offense. Where you did see some good stuff, but it's not actually playing linebacker. Outside like a couple plays in there. So again, it's a total projection. It'll be interesting to see what I'm going to ask the beat reporters. Can you please tell me what position, who's coaching Trace Ford at rookie camp next weekend or this upcoming weekend? So we'll see with that, but I just see, because again, if you're just putting him at edge, there's no path to an NFL roster spot there. And then linebacker you could get. And again, we always talk about the UDFAs and path and stuff. And then, we look back 2 years and like, oh yeah, remember, Darren Evans, like, that type of stuff happens. But that's the beauty of this episode, is trying to find who can have a path and what their path is. So, Trace Ford, edge, I hope stack linebacker out of Oklahoma. All right, Grump, let's talk about the next guy, and that's Tommy McCormick, safety out of Ohio, 6 foot, 210. 3 interceptions and 3 pass breakups, 7 interceptions over the last 3 years. Versatile, right? Like this past year played 50% deep, 43% box, and then only 7% the nickel. The year before, 53% box, 35% deep, and then 12% the nickel. You like him a lot, so I'll kind of let you introduce him to us.
Yeah, you said Ohio. He's in Idaho.
Idaho.
No big deal, but super productive player, right? 6'1", 210 pounds, 108 total tackles, 50 solo, 58 assisted, 9 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. This is a pretty productive player, man. Like you said, he played kind of all over the defensive backfield. They moved him around. I think he's a strong physical tackler and a strong physical presence with above average coverage skills. I think that he's most likely a box safety at the next level. I think that's where he looks the best. The physical tools and speed. I think that he triggers well and he closes well with good speed. I don't know. I couldn't find any testing for him in any regard. So there was one on the Idaho Vandals.
I got his pro day.
You got to pay for the subscription, and I'm not doing that.
I got his pro day. It's 4.67 40, 36-inch vertical, 23 bench press reps.
Wow, the bench press that's pretty impressive for a
defensive. He plays with pop, dude. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, he hits like a mother. I like him. I like the way he closes in. I like the way he tackles. I think he plays faster than 4.6 40. Like I'm not asking for him to be a single high safety in any regard, but when he triggers and he closes, he plays at that full 4.6 40. You know what I mean? Like he's really going. Whatever that speed is, he's going. I think that his back pedal is nice and smooth. His change of direction might be a little bit average. But he's a smart player. You know what I mean? They moved him around a lot, and it never really seemed like he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I can see the appeal with Tommy McCormick, and I think that he can have a chance to separate himself in a thin and weak defensive backfield. So I get, and again, somebody like this with good speed, good instincts, just a general football player, and somebody who hits like he does. Special teams is your fastest way to the roster. So, yeah, I can see it with him. I get it.
Well, again, another guy whose interceptions are impressive, and another guy who keeps his eyes on the quarterback. In fact, sometimes to a negative. Like, he'll keep his eyes on the QB so much that he can miss concepts developing because he's watching what the quarterback is doing. But, like, he loves to just bait the quarterback and take away those in breakers, right? Like on an RPO or over route. Like, he likes to trigger down on those plays. And again, he does have good burst of the ball whenever he does trigger, and he's got good ball tracking paired with the good ball skills when given the opportunity. Now, he's not got much man coverage experience. And then in the run game, there is missed tackles, but he looks for pop. And there's times where the Oregon runner was on the sideline and brought the blow to him more so. So we'll see interesting seeing his NFL backs. But the one thing I thought was most, and he had 88 tackles last year, is he gets through traffic extremely well in the run game. Right, a lot of these safeties, they always get caught up on something. Him, no. Like, he always kind of knew the right lane, the right angle, and how to attack the play in the run game. And I don't think those tackles were, just a product of playing safety and a bad run defense. I do think he actually, found his way to the ball really well. And again, like, not just eyes on the QB, but eyes on the run game as well too. And again, like you said, like, my first note is that, he's going to be limited to a box safety role in the NFL. Um, and I put not a great leaper because I saw they threw a ball over his head and he 36-inch vertical jump, I guess. So that's not bad, but he didn't get off the ground the way I was looking for. I mean, I certainly liked him more than the other safety we're going to talk about with Tommy McCormick. But you get anything else on McCormick?
No, I guess my only question for you is, do you see him transitioning to a linebacker role, or is his pathway is just like a dime back?
Yeah, box safety. It's he obviously you're not going to be. He'll get a handful of snaps deep if he's ever called on to, but I think the role is simply just box safety. I mean, he's only 210. Like, I don't see that moving to linebacker. But
no,
again,
just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I think box safety is the role for him. Let's talk about Makari Paige, the safety out of Michigan. This profile, I feel like, is a little more intriguing. One, he's out of Michigan. 6'3", 197 pounds, 32.5-inch arms, so he's got good length with that size. He had 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, 45 tackles last year for Michigan. They entirely changed his role, and for good reason. The first 8 games of the year, he was playing 52% deep, and 19% nickel. Then the last 4 games of the year, they gave him 0 snaps deep. I mean, 0, and then made him a nickel corner, 87%. His overall speed is average. This is where it hurts. The change of direction skills are terrible to me. Anytime he would have like an open field situation or had the move of coverage, it was just there. There's no burst out of his pedal or his movement. And I think his drops just look robotic. Like segmented moves, and I think he lacked instincts. And they put him at the nickel corner spot just to like use his size, and it was basically like, hey, play 5 yards off, get physical at 5 yards, and then carry the flats. Like, that was basically the role that they put him in. He had an interception against Ohio State doing that. He can lay some big hits, but it was basically like, hey, cheat again, play inside leverage, play physical at the 5 yards when the slot receiver comes at you, and then carry into the flats. Because I thought the deep safety stuff was really, really bad. Again, no instincts. Range was average. And then again, just the change of direction was really, really lacking. So I think if there's a role for Makari Paige, it's simply that big nickel spot, where it's like, play zone and play run defense.
Yeah, I mean, so I think he's a little bit better than you do, but not by much. I think that like the long speed is kind of there. Like I think that he can track a large section of the field. I don't think he's got single high speed, but I think very few people seem to have that speed. Very few safeties coming out of college have that single high speed, in my opinion. So he did play that, and it wasn't very good. But the long speed, I think, is there. It is the change of direction. And for me, where I noticed it was him coming down to play the run. So he would like come in and have like the contain roll, and he would look silly because he would be in the perfect position and just trying to chop his steps and then like change and go back inside to make the tackle. Like he would funnel the run back inside, but then he couldn't make up the ground, and you just like take off. And like he looked stupid a number of times, just like running backs just running right past him because he just couldn't change the direction quickly enough. But I think he's an all around like pretty good. Like, he's an average safety. He's got a ton of experience at the position. I don't think he makes a ton of mental mistakes, but I think just in general, he's just an average athlete with, he's just average in so many different ways. And I think that the athleticism, and I don't know. I don't think that he's going to. I could see a pathway for him, but I don't think he's better than Tommy McCormick. You know what I mean? Like I just think that he's not super productive. I don't think that I don't think that he's going to transition to the NFL because as much as he's like a willing tackler, I didn't find him incredibly physical. He's always usually in the right spot. I mean, there's a couple times I felt like he wasn't the deepest guy in the field when he should have been. I think he looks pretty good in his back pedal, but just in general, like I think NFL speed is going to just run past him. So I just don't see it for him.
Yeah, it's finding the role for him. Because again, box safety, which again, they didn't play him in the box all that often. So you don't have like that traditional box safety run plays. But again, he'll bring some pop at time against
But it's weird because he's so big. Like, why wasn't he in the box more?
I don't know. It seems like a player who's like, man, he's got some good straight line speed. He's this size. Was use him, and they just like safety is the ultimate position, man. It's like your size and stuff like that is cool and all. It's great. It can help set you apart, but it doesn't matter that much. It's very much an instinctive. It's a football position. You know, it's a how do you play football? It's not a how do you test or how do you run in a straight line. It's the ultimate, like, you need to watch this player, right? You know, you can get a good, like, center, right? Like Jared Wilson out of Georgia. There's some film I don't love, but I've kind of learned is like pay attention to the athletic testing for centers. It translates. With safety, it's almost look at the whatever safety tests really well. Don't look at that because it's doesn't produce. And again, he's not like this great tester, but he's got like, you know, ran a 4.5 40 and is 6'3".
Yeah, I think he probably tests better than Tommy McCormick in every way except for probably that bench press.
Yeah. He had 15 bench press reps. In the shuttle, he was a 4.44, a 4.4. They're basically same shuttle. And then he had, you know, he was a 10th quicker in the 40 time. And then obviously much bigger. He's 3 inches taller and has 4-inch longer arms. But to me, it's just like the best that you saw Makari Paige was when they put the least amount on his plate, which was just play nickel, be physical at the 5-yard mark, and then carry the flats. Like it was basically what they asked out of him. So I was excited when I saw the profile of him, and I didn't love the film. Again, there's no he cannot play deep safety in the NFL. Again, they never put him in the box a ton. He only had 2 tackles for a loss. So maybe it's somebody you're looking to try and get out, but it's just he looks so robotic out there.
He's also like 23 or 24. He's on
most of these UDFAs are older, but it's just like a guy who you're looking to, you know, find a role for, and you just never really could find that. You know, in 2023 they kind of split him, you know, all 3 positions more deep. 2022 he really only played at backup spots, but anything else on Makari Paige? I feel like because the offense had 10 guys, we're going so fast with the defensive guys.
Yeah, but I mean, we really said it, right? Like there are things working in his favor, right? Like he has a ton of experience at a high level of competition playing the position. I think you're right. Like it really is like finding his spot in the defensive backfield because he's not useless. He's not garbage. He tests well. Like it's clear there's athleticism there. There's clearly size there. And there's plenty of experience. So like maybe there's a spot somewhere for him, but I don't know that he's going to be playing a lot of special teams. So he's going to have to, I guess, if he's got any shot of doing anything.
Yeah,
but I understand the invite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If he's going to find a way, I think it's that big nickel role. All right, let's talk about the last guy, and that's RJ Delancy III, corner out of Wisconsin, 5'10", 186 pounds. He actually didn't play very much for Wisconsin. Transferred from Toledo, that Toledo defense, I was like, it's got some names, and then I realized it's like, you know what? It's more than so names that matter to me. Kenyon Mitchell was one, Darius Alexander, and then like Maxon Hook, who went undrafted, Deontay Johnson, who went undrafted, and then RJ Delancy. Ran a 4.49 40. At Wisconsin, I thought he played with too much cushion. And then guys were able to run away from him in man coverage. Like, you know, O'Donnell Fortune, we talk about some of the testing and stuff, and speed made up a great, but it's like you don't really see it much on film. With Delancey, I think you did. You know, he played 50-50 nickel and outside of Toledo. I paid more attention to his Toledo film. But I just thought he struggled with the release, like he gave levers away too early. He's an aggressive run defender, though, right? Like he's looking to mess you up. I shared a play on Twitter of him against USC on the open field where he just lays out a wide receiver going to the ball, and you could tell he plays with like that physical edge. And then whenever if there's one thing I thought he did well in coverage, it was kind of carrying the vertical once we got past the release. And he had good ball skills. Had a couple pass breakups in the game I watched versus Illinois. But I just kind of feel like it's a guy who plays with too much cushion and doesn't have the trigger out of the cushion. And when he's put in more man coverage spots, guys are just able to run away from him.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. First of all, he's sparingly used. He doesn't have a ton of snaps. So that should tell you everything right there with what you're dealing with. I think he has some pretty decent speed. He's able to mirror pretty well, but like you said, he's just too far off. There's too much cushion, and he doesn't have the speed or instincts to close on plays. Like, you just don't see anything at the catch point. I wouldn't say, like, just from a snapshot that the cushion is too much. It just depends on who that person is. There are people with a good enough instincts and their ability to read the play and the concepts and the quarterback where they can close on that level of cushion, even with the speed that he tests at. But he doesn't have any of that. Like, he just allows a ton of completions. In my opinion, he's not physical at all with wide receivers. Whoever he's covering, he's not physical at all, doesn't get hands on them, and he clearly needs to. He got in his limited time on the field against Alabama. I think like his first snap, he just let a go route go right past him.
Yeah, Ryan Williams. Again, it's Ryan Williams, but still just ran right past him.
He literally just ran past him. There was nothing fancy about that play, and that was it. That was like the easiest touchdown Jalen Milroe's ever had. I don't see. I get the need right at corner. I get the need at slot corner. I don't see this being a realistic option. I think this is a cam potty.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you watch O'Donnell Fortune, it's clearly better. And then the fact that he wasn't even like a full-time player at Toledo either. Now, obviously, that Toledo team had Kenyon Mitchell, but still, there's there's two other corner positions. But he played quite a bit, but he wasn't a full-time player for them. It was just kind of a player who I thought lacked refinement and then not the athleticism that you're like, oh, well, if you just figure this out, you really didn't see that for him. All right, that's our defensive UDFA review, Grump. I think I've gotten so used to you on the show that it's gonna be weird when I record, on Friday, and it's not with Grump. So thank you very much for all the help with the draft stuff. Obviously, I think I got you booked for the 53-man roster episode, right? Can I do that with you?
You didn't tell me about that, but that's okay. I would do that with you.
I think it did tell you, so you're forgetting a little bit. But again, I don't have it.
I'll see you July 4th also if you want.
Oh yeah, 4th of July. Oh, you're definitely on 4th of July mailbag. So 4th of July mailbag, 53-man roster. I mean, we got way too early draft week that we got to get into. So appreciate it, dude. I think it's been fun. You know what? Usually now, if you the comments have basically all been positive. Have you seen any negative ones? I always like to hear the negative ones.
A couple here and there, but it has been really, really positive. I was going to ask you how you thought it went and whatever, but like, you warned me right out the gate, and I think it was just privately between us. You were like, "Look, man, I'm really sorry. I'm throwing you straight to the wolves with a QB breakdown." And I'm going to be honest, QB is one of the breakdowns that I am the least confident in because there's just so many things to look at. And one of the negative comments I saw was, I don't want to say it because I feel like I'm calling out the person because I remember it almost verbatim.
You don't have to say that. I was just joking, but my point was saying like
there was basically one. There was basically one.
Yeah, it's been positive review, so it's been enjoyable. Obviously, we've been doing draft stuff for a long time, so it wasn't like that awkward first podcast.
No.
So we kind of just jumped right into it. Like I said, like quarterbacks, we had no time to like screw around and like welcome to the show. It's like, all right, let's talk Cam Ward, and then Shador, and then Jackson Dart. So I thought it went really well. So I'm gonna miss you when I do a mailbag on Friday. So yeah, good, man. So we had write-ups on a lot of draft picks. People listening at this point, they're like, you guys can talk about whatever you want, dude. I thought the draft season went really well. Now part of that is because Joe Shane basically telegraphs who he's gonna pick.
I was gonna say we got lucky. There's a tell right now, and if that tell goes away, like, but here's the thing: we'll be better prepared next year, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
We won't have to deal with this, but like the truth of the matter is that I think, right, like I'm assuming right now, but you and I had probably the least amount of breakdowns written that we've ever had in the
Ever.
last,
Ever.
but they were everyone that we needed to have was there, right?
Yeah, because all the top 30 visits. So part of me was like, man, they drafted the guys you want. I was like, yeah, because the only guys not the only guys, but the majority of guys, I really tried to get the top 100 done. It were, in that top 100 projection, because I had like the day 3 guys I didn't have. Now, Marcus Bowe, Cam Scatterby were guys who were projected top 100. And then Corey Black was a top 30 visit. So I had his. But yeah, it was the least prepared I'd ever been for a draft. And luckily Shane only picked top 30 visits. So we had 6 to 7 write-ups. I mean, so for the last 2 years on my shows, I've had only 2 write-ups not done on Giants draft picks: Darius Moasau and Thomas Fidone out of Nebraska. So it was, I thought it was a really good draft season. Got a quarterback. I'm excited to spend the whole summer breaking down the quarterback from every different angle. So we'll back to regular episodes on Friday. Like I said, I'm gonna do a mailbag. So I'll put out a tweet for questions. It'll be the first mailbag of Giants Nation show. How about that? So let's get down and dirty with the Grump. The listeners will be hearing from you soon. We got to do the 53-man roster in the next few weeks, so I'll be calling on you for that. To all the offensive and defensive UDFAs, it's been a pleasure. I'm excited to see you in training camp. Okay, let's do this. Rank the UDFAs real quick. So you go to the text message that that's what I'm gonna.
I have them all right in front of me. So, I'm gonna go real quick because I don't want to put too much thought into this. O'Donnell Fortune, I think, is the best one.
Let's go.
And then I think it's a really tight logjam, in my opinion, between Juice Wells, Bo Collins,
Felton.
Yeah, maybe Felton. Does McCollum count?
Oh,
or is he...
No, McCollum and RJ Perry, which I'm sad about McCollum, because I thought he could actually like battle for like a second, third string slot team. RJ Perry, they made me say all those mean things about him, and I'm like,
he's just a minicamp invite.
Yeah, he was a minicamp invite. I even tweeted on the Patreon Twitter account. I was like, whatever scout like advocated for signing this guy as a UDFA should be fired. And it's like, all right, well, I guess no one needs to be fired. And so it made me say all those mean things about him, and he didn't even sign with the team. He's just a rookie minicamp invite. So that happens every once in a while. But I will say, I've had a good eye of like that. I remember a couple years ago, Dalen Baldwin out of Michigan. I was like, I don't see anything with this guy. And then you find out 2 days later, it's like, yeah, well, he didn't sign. He's a minicamp invite.
So I guess I'll go, in my opinion, I'm going to go Bo Collins above Juice Wells, but it's real close. Then Felton, and then underneath that, the kid who's going to be a coach, Dylan Cambry.
Oh, if he counts, he might be number 1.
And then everybody else it doesn't matter.
I'm actually going to do
Rashawn Baker is really fun. I just don't see a pathway.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go O'Donnell Fortune, Juice Wells, Bo Collins, Felton. So the wide receiver trio, 2 through 4. I'll go Trace Ford, 5. Jason Williams, the O-lineman, 6. And then I'll go Tommy McCormick, 7. I'll go Rashawn Baker, 8. And then who am I missing? I'm not counting Dalen Cambry because he's a special team knower. And like you said, the rest don't matter. All right, I'll go Makari, Paige, number 9. All right, that's an episode. Again, we'll be back Friday for a mailbag coming this week. I've been trying to not say what I'm going to do because I don't want people to do it before I was able to get to it. I'm doing individual breakdowns of every Jackson Dart game of all 22. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're getting those games. So and then through the next week. So we'll see you, Grump. Thank you again as always. Again, go follow at @football_grump on Twitter. Go subscribe to the Just Giants podcast. We will see you guys on Friday. Until then, let's go Big Blue.